Morning, everybody. It's Monday. I got my little mobile welding unit station trailer thing. We're headed to go fix some stuff that we broke on Friday. So should be fairly simple on my end what needs to be fixed. Dad worked on some of the track chipper stuff, but I'll share all of that with you guys when we get to the job. Check this out. Me and the boys spent like all day working on this. Let's see if it works. Oh yeah. Finally got some automatic gate openers. Yeah, buddy. Oh man, that's so nice. Track chipper, the lower feed wheel. I'll show you what happened to that, but that one failed. 20 hours that we've had on it. So Bandit, 1,800 hours your lower feed wheel, but I bumped something into a tree with the excavator, so that's what I have to weld back on right now. So this is my main squeeze, my main office. There's two sets of hydraulics that come out to the end of the boom. One is a momentary switch, which is what the thumb is hooked up to right now. I just like that because I can use this as a live heel for moving smaller logs. And we still needed two different circuits of hydraulics for the grapple. So we run the main one to a diverter valve, and I hit a switch. It just sends a little electricity up here, hits the solenoids, and it changes the flow from squeeze and open to rotate. But this thing, actually the weld was a little bit fatigued, and I ran this machine for 2,000+ hours and ran the other machines for quite a few hours as well, and this is the first one of these that I've broken off, and it was just this, the sun beams right through all day. It's just beaming through, and getting towards the end of the day I was a little tired, I guess, and the sun caught up to me and I snagged it on a little tree. But we'll get her welded up. I'm gonna go ahead and touch that up with a wire wheel and try to get this thing mounted back up on there, tag it, beat her in. Safety first. Oh yeah, B-Belt and Sun jackets, bbeltandsun.com sweatshirts should be ready very soon. I can make that work. I'll just push this thing into position, get her tacked up, take these bungees off, and then beam her in. Let's go ahead, get this bad dogger started. Don't even ask me where I got this thing from, because I have no link or nothing for it, but it is a single cylinder diesel generator. 220 is what I'll be running on to run my welder. It does have a compression release and you can pull start it, but it still had charge last night, so let's see if she starts.
Quick word about this welder right here. This is an old dogger. It's my dad's first welder, and somewhere along the lines I hijacked it, and guess I never gave it back. Been packing around for quite a while now, and this thing has built quite a few things in its day. People like to say, oh, it's a small welder, it can't get a good burn in, it's not good for thick steel. You preheat your steel, this thing does great. I didn't preheat this steel I'm working on right now because it's not really a structural component, so it's not the end of the world. But this thing, I built the grapple assembly for this, many flatbeds for pickups, so many tractor attachments. This welder has been an absolute champ. I even built this trailer that I'm sitting in back in the day with this welder. I just use simple flux core because it's just, honestly, it's just easier. You don't have to deal with any of the gases, and I think it gets a deeper burn.
I really should have brought a torch and heated up this steel, but I just ran a couple good little passes on it, and that was enough to heat it up. Once I got the top warm, the bottom was just fine. So she's good on there. Now, I did put a solid weld around it. Before, we just had a, you know, it didn't need to be the strongest weld, because if you bump this, it would be better just to break that off, and then this thing can hang. It's like a crumple zone. So, those welds, being that I did weld on cold this morning, I'm not too worried about it. I know it's going to hold. It's been on there for the last 2,000 hours with, I mean, those welds look perfectly fine to me, but if anybody's going to critique them, whatever. That's why, you know, that's just a little, the weak point. So if you bump this again, which it'll happen, it'll break right there and not the rest of this thing get destroyed. But the little welder, she does good. And so does that thing. Freaking awesome little setup. Here's the tree I smoked it on. You see this little scratch I made? I'm just kidding. That wasn't, a tree fell right through here and branches skimmed that up. But I hit it up there. You can't even see a mark where I bumped it. Mark, actually. But I was down here shoveling in a bunch of little stuff into the chipper. But let's go get the chipper fired up and move it on flat ground so I can get the transmission jack underneath it, so that I can, once Dad gets here with the lower feed wheel, I'll show you what broke on it, and we can get it reinstalled. Okay, so you guys see that nice little weld down underneath there? There wasn't a nice little weld. Unfortunately, though, this thing is just built out of, it doesn't even look like 1/4 inch. It looks like maybe 3/16 sidewall of this thing. So when we first got it, it had 1,800 hours on it. We put 20 hours on top of that. But this side of the lower feed wheel was kind of walking a little bit. I thought that was a little funny. Bearing was tight. Shaft was spinning just fine. Shaft goes all the way through. And when I finished on Friday, I couldn't feed anything into it. It pissed me off. So I ended up just putting it in by hand, a little stick at a time, just to finish off like 5 minutes worth of work. That side ended up breaking too. So this thing was like peg legging it, just like whoop, grab, stop, grab, hit, yeah. So hour or something, we got this thing out. So hopefully we can get it back in there within 6 days. Why'd you push it off the blacktop?
So it wouldn't roll because it was rolling. Just pull forward a little bit.
No, because I want to be The idea is to move the smaller object.
Yeah, I think
That goes down, yeah.
it's on the bottom. Go slow. Okay. Another inch or so over here.
Okay, look at the bolts. And that he said he had worked for other companies that made chippers, and he said Bandit was far superior.
Really?
Judging by the last 6 comments that you made. I mean, this machine is a Haas, but how these bearings are held in there is these 4 Allens, and they're just threaded in to this 3/8 steel. It's just the sidewall of the chute, really. That's all it is. And then he was saying this is a one-time use thing because it did not want to come off. So he spent quite a few minutes, minutes times minutes, getting it off last night, and then turned it on a lathe, cleaned it up, and dremelled her out. So it's got a big old keyway that goes in there, but they make it impossible to come off once you get the keyway out. Safe to say we weren't going to get it off with that little tiny hammer and that pry bar.
No, I drove chisels in it on both sides and hit them back and forth.
Oh, there's a nut right there on that one. Because at one point we tried going on that side, prying, but that's got a nut that holds that coupler on.
Yeah, you gotta take that nut off first.
If you can take that nut off before you pull this out, you're good. Liquid nut. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this side. For this side of the shaft, it's just a collared keyway nut thing. What would you call that? Collared keyway nut? Sounds official. Huh? Yeah, got the set screws. These, all 4 of these were, I think one of them had a little bit of tightness.
I think we should run it for an hour and check them out.
Yeah.
And one of them working because then you can stick it.
Yeah. Then we just weld it all on there.
Got her, huh?
All weekend apparently he spent working on it.
Yeah,
Working on it at home, you mean the part?
Yeah.
yeah, and it needs a new part, but I couldn't get that part off.
What are you doing, Charlie? How do you feel?
Try working on a new part.
Apparently you gotta be a genius to figure out this pin crap.
It drives in from the top.
Yeah.
Maybe if we got it stuck. I brought an aluminum hammer.
Yeah, try that. Beat that down in there. Aluminum hammer. We gotta go in just a little bit. Might be able to back that nut off. How you get this pin out, you tighten that nut all the way down, and then you tap on the other end with a hammer. It was really fun to get that out. Probably more fun than what he had to do to get the pump off of the shaft, but how much more has it got? Almost. Back this nut up so they're not beating on the threads. We do have an aluminum hammer tapped it in there with, so hopefully it didn't mess up the threads.
I think you got to tilt your handle down.
It looks pretty level.
So we got to tighten this guy.
Yeah.
And I brought a little chisel.
A little chisel? Okay. We need to order some. Where's it at? This thing here. Apparently that takes a pretty mean beating. It had wore through on this side. That is for the back and forth. You know, the shockwave that the feed wheel takes. And this one down here, I put like a 38 ply worth of electrical tape on it and went through it in like 5 minutes. So that's beats the crap out of it. That might have something to do with why it failed, because this thing is just steel to steel. You're supposed to bring some leather, thick leather. We're gonna try that. Did you bring that leather for this?
No.
Oh, some bitch. Yeah.
I guess it's all covered with grease. Grease, go ahead and go down a little bit.
So that guy, guess it's kind of pulling it our way, pulling the whole drum as you're hitting it a little bit?
No,
Or
the
is it
nut
just-
should go that way.
Okay. Show you that back there.
Yeah, lift her up some more.
Yeah. Well, I got her all back on there. We're just gonna leave that, that nut does nothing for holding it in there. It just held in there by being pressed in there. And it's about where it was initially. So that's fine. That's just to aid you taking it out. I'm gonna back it off the black top. Put the hydraulic lines back on it. And then there's a little cover like this guy that goes on there. What I did so I could still move the machine is I just looped the hoses back. But you always got to make sure to take a photo so that you know how they go back on there. So this one, I'll take it off the top, goes up here. That one's obvious on this end, but it's always handy. Cell phone. Turn to the earth oil. We're safeties first. Don't forget to put your rubber back on. But don't forget to put your rubber on in general. You put it back on, but whatever. One last thing. Ah, thank you. Oh man. That was fun. Alright, we're all back together. See if it works. You can't spin the feed wheels forward unless it's wide open, so let's see if reverse works. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Before, that lower feed wheel was walking up and down. I would imagine the upper feed wheel, since it's not fixed, shouldn't have the same issue, but being that it's a thin sidewall that everything's welded to, who knows? I got a couple things I can throw in by hand over there, but this job, we literally were just about wrapped up, depending on if they add any more big pines or Doug fir, white fir. My dad had fun getting this thing fixed. I was installing those gates that you guys saw yesterday, and yeah, so thank God he spent the time over the weekend to get that fixed. But let's get this cleaned up, maybe get something done. Tolerances are definitely tighter now that the one side's not drooping down. Not your typical Monday because we fixed everything, broke on a Friday. Normally it kind of goes the other way. Turn that back on. Where do you go? Now everybody's gonna be like, oh, that little welder again, that little welder. Need a bigger welder. That little welder welded this thing together 4 years ago.
In that joint.
And yeah, in the joint right here. Welded all that together. Yeah. It's never broke there ever, or anything that welders ever broke. And this is probably, I'd say, one of the more used items that you've welded up.
You get a certified welder, that way you don't have to be certified.
Certified welder. That whole unit's certified. Trailer certified. Did a DOT inspection test on it last night. We're good. You want to feel this thing up down here too, I guess? Might as well.
That's good.
Had the truck in Prius mode right there.
3 days after Christmas is when Johnny's going to start his job. But he's just going to stage everything. I don't know if he'd want to there right away.
I wouldn't want to be there right away if he's just going to be staging.
Is he going to feed the chipper?
No, that's our job. I don't know. I'd just give him a finder's fee. Need to go look at it, I guess.
He's going to do the job, half of it.
Yeah. Well, he's going to do the easy half.
He never uses the chipper as a hard part.
Still need chipper, the excavator, and probably 12.
I asked him if some of it's easier just to mold. Oh, it's pretty rusty.
You never drop those knives off. We are done with this job. Was probably the smallest area that we worked on this job, but then we came down here. That's an old cabin right there. Different property owners, so we did a little bit of work right here. Went up and around the shop building thing. Worked on the other side of the house. Did quite a bit. This thing, the track chipper, literally, we were almost completely done with track chipper needs on this job. This thing, for all the big stuff, big amounts of brush and everything, night and day for how much production it can do, even against a dedicated mulcher. So that was nice that it decided to let go when we were pretty much done with it. I just did those last couple clips so you guys could see it running today. But this, it might have been a little wobbly before, but this, it didn't end up perfectly straight, which kind of makes sense being that stuff broke in there. And I seen this kind of, you see the shaft just kind of makes the motor walk a little bit up and down, but I think it'll be perfectly fine because there's slop in it. You know, if it was straight, we didn't have a spot where it can be a little sloppy, that would be a problem. But she did good. We're gonna go ahead and order some of these things, those things, get that new coupler ordered just so we got one in stock, and then order a fresh set of knives. Johnny was supposed to bring us his old knives and we were going to sharpen them on the milling machine, but I haven't seen them yet. So, but that definitely, it helped the tolerances, because in between the two, this side was dropped down so much that if you put a small branch like a 1-incher in there, like this guy, let's see here, that guy, you know, that's like a 1/4 inch kind of a thing. That's a tiny thing. That one didn't grab. But a 1-incher, it was having trouble on this side. But now I could tell in just those 2 grappables I put in there that it was grabbing the littler stuff a lot better. This thing's pretty slick though, because you can, it's got springs that keep that upper feed wheel clamping. But if you need to clamp harder, I can hit the hydraulic button and really grab it. She's on there doing a good job. I'm going to come back tomorrow morning and pick up this thing and then haul it off. And shoot, we got 4 machines here right now. Good job. I'm happy with this one. Left him some piles of chips so he can spread them out. Landscaping. Turned out real clean.
Here is some bonus footage. We ended up looking at another job for later this week, and this one is literally right down the hill, skidding these beggar logs. Moved the skidder in. Andy and Dad moved this thing in on Saturday or Sunday, and we went over here and worked a couple hours since we finished our track chipper job. So this is just bonus footage, but the video is officially over. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Damn. How do you think the 518 grapple skidder would have fared against this? Huh? Yeah, that'd be good. The power company took these trees down, and we got to get them to over there, but we got to pull them out and then take them back that way. And a moving truck just showed up, blocking the way. Looks bigger than the skidder.